Welcome to Champ's Japanese Kitchen! Today, we're gonna make gyoza, which is actually a Chinese dish, but it's very popular here in Japan. So, let's get cooking! But before we begin, guys, I'd like to say a very big thank you to Tipsy for sponsoring today's video. I love the idea of introducing all different Japanese foods and drinks to you guys, but unfortunately, I don't know how to make sake. That's why the subscription service from Tipsy is such a great way to learn and try Japanese sakes. You can even get traditional Japanese sake cups like this. This is called masu, which is traditional cup for Japanese sake. I'm looking forward to telling you more later, but let's make our gyoza first. Okay guys, just a heads up, today I'll be using pre-made gyoza skins. In Japan, they sell these in supermarkets, but you may be able to find them in Asian supermarket or something similar. Today, I'll be making enough filling for a pack of 20, but you may want to adjust the quantities as necessary. First up, we'll be preparing the vegetables in the filling. Today, I'm using the common fillings of cabbage, onion, garlic, ginger, Japanese green onion, and Nira or garlic chives. But feel free to add more or substitute any you can get your hands on. So first up, let's finally cut our cabbage into small pieces. Feel free to use a food processor for this instead. I'm also gonna roughly chop the outside leaves of the cabbage into slightly bigger pieces, which will give our final gyoza a nice variety of textures. Next, we wanna mince half an onion. And we will add that in. And then our Japanese negi, or green onion. We will only be using about half of this, about 30 grams. But let's really mince that up into small pieces. We call this mijingiri in Japanese. Now summon your magic mixing bowl and add that in too. Next is the Nira or garlic chives. We will also be mincing this up too. Nira has quite a strong garlic flavor, so add as much as you want, or just omit this if you prefer. I'm adding the same amount as the green onion today, but I think adding Nira really adds a nice aroma to the finished gyoza. Just be careful though, if you have leftover Nira, it can make your refrigerator quite garlic smelling. So make sure to properly wrap up any leftovers. Now finally, we have 1 clove of garlic and the same amount of ginger, which we will just grate up so we can add to our other ingredients. Now onto the meat. Today, I'm using 2 types of pork mince. One is a slightly larger roughly minced pork, and the other is a thinner mince of pork. I'm using 70 grams of each, and this will give our gyoza a nicer texture, but feel free to use whatever pork mince you can find. First, let's mix up that mince until we see it all start to bind together. And then, add that to our vegetables. Next, we're gonna add 18 grams of soy sauce, pinch of salt, and 15 grams of sesame oil. Once we add that in, let's get that all good mixed together. Oops! Forgot to add some pepper. And there, now that's our gyoza filling done. We call this tane in Japanese. Now, onto the slightly complicated part, shaping our gyoza. We want to add a spoonful of our mix on our gyoza skins slightly off-center to the right like this. Then, pinch the right side with your thumb and keep it in place. And use your index fingers to crawl up the gyoza like this to create folds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this should be enough. And your gyoza is nicely folded. This may take a bit of practice, but don't worry too much about it. You just want it nice and firmly closed to stop any filling falling out when we cook. So pinch, fold, 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 and good! I was actually taught how to make gyoza this way by my friend Kawashima-san, who is a master chef at a Chinese restaurant called Ginza Astor here in Japan. If you're having a hard time sealing the gyoza, you can also dab a bit of water around the edges like this to help them close. Let's repeat this with all our gyoza. It's kind of relaxing, like meditation. Gyoza therapy. Okay, now that our gyoza all folded, it's time to cook. Into a frying pan, I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of sesame oil and heat that up to medium high. Now, we wanna line up our gyoza in a circle around our pan as it's starting to heat up. You can add a few in the middle if you're using a larger pan like I am today. We want to keep these cooking like this until we start to see them all brown on the bottom. You may have to wait a bit for the ones around the edges to brown up like this depending on how hot your stove gets. Or you can always move the position of the gyoza around a bit. Once all our gyoza has browned a bit, we're going to add about 50 milliliters of water. And then place a lid on our pan. We will let our gyoza steam for 3 minutes. Now we remove the lid and give our gyoza a little shake to make sure they're not stuck to the bottom of the frying pan. Looking great! Now we will keep them cooking like this on a medium heat until we see that all the liquid in the pan has evaporated. And then we want to place a large plate on top of our pan and 3, 2, 1, flip it over. And our gyoza are done. But I also want to give you guys an extra special champ tip. If you mix 5 grams of flour into the water before you add it to your gyoza, and then add a little sesame oil over them after they've finished steaming, you can make Hane-tsuki Gyoza, which literally means gyoza with wings. It gives you this nice crispy layer on top of the gyoza like this. Give it a try! Okay guys, gyoza is done! Cooked to perfection! Today, we're gonna eat gyoza with this gyoza no tare, which is half shoyu and half vinegar. いただきます! Very juicy and flavorful, full of flavor. You can taste all of the vegetables and meat, and garlic has a great punch. And what goes really well with gyoza is sake. I'd like to say another big thank you to Tipsy Sake for providing me with something to drink with its gyoza. I mean, sponsoring the video. Japanese sake can be a hard thing to understand, with so many different types and flavors. But with Tipsy, it's all made easy. If you become a member, not only will they choose and send you delicious sake straight to your home, but they also explain everything about each bottle, how it's made, and what food it pairs with. You can even buy traditional sake ware from their website, like this wood masu. The smell of the wood from this masu makes this sake more richer. この八海山はお米で有名な新潟県の魚沼市というところで作られているので、お米の甘みを感じるのと、あと全く雑味がありません。とっても上品なお酒です。If you want to try this sake, or if you want to get your own masu, check out Tipsy in the description down below. And remember, after we eat, we all say, ごちそうさまでした!